about Grindr. We're going to talk about sex, safe sex. We're going to talk about the future, the past, and also a little bit about the present. Tomorrow is World AIDS Day. We're also here to get informed and to get inspired as well, because information is sexy, and so is activism, I think. So tonight is organized by the Amsterdam Youth Force.
Amsterdam Youth Force, waar staat het voor? Wat zijn jullie?
Ja, elke 2 jaar wordt een grote internationale AIDS-conferentie gegeven. En sinds 2006 is er ook een jongerengedeelte bij, een Youth Force. Dat begon allemaal in Canada. En omdat nu dit jaar het in Amsterdam wordt gehouden, is er ook een Amsterdam Youth Force. Onze primaire taak is om jongeren te vertegenwoordigen tijdens de conferentie zelf. En dat is heel belangrijk, omdat als je kijkt naar de laatste cijfers van bijvoorbeeld de WHO, dan is 30% van de nieuwe HIV-besmettingen zijn jongeren. Maar als je kijkt naar de conferentie zelf, dan is het een gemiddelde leeftijd minstens 35 plus. En nou ja, jongeren en de stem van jongeren is echt heel belangrijk daarbij. En daarvoor zijn wij primair om dat te vertegenwoordigen.
Dan moeten jongeren niet gewoon lekker op Grindr zitten en lekker avonturen beleven en die hebben toch helemaal geen tijd voor dit soort dingen?
Nou ja, tuurlijk, dat moet ook. Maar je kan daarnaast ook nog gewoon je inzetten voor wat goed is voor onszelf. En voornamelijk denk ik voor bijvoorbeeld jongeren die veel seks hebben. Dan is het gewoon belangrijk om te weten dat je veilig bent en dat je ook veilig seks kan hebben.
So, first, who in the audience doesn't know what PrEP is?
Well, PrEP is actually a medicine you can take on a daily basis or right before and after your sexual intercourse, and it protects you from getting HIV.
Very clear. And then maybe you can explain in one sentence, what PROUD is.
PROUD is a union for sex workers in the Netherlands. So there is a stigma about sex work and a stigma when you are a trans person. And it's sometimes very difficult if you come from a bicultural background. So you have layers, intersections of difficulties, and those make it sometimes very difficult for people to access healthcare.
This PrEP is quite expensive. Do you have to pay for it yourself? How does that work?
Well, actually, 1 year ago, about 1.5 years ago, I was looking to get PrEP for myself, and I basically went up to the KKD and they said we are doing some investigations, but registering is closed for those investigations, and that was the only way in the Netherlands to get free PrEP, that was covered by the government, because PrEP used to cost 500 euros per month. It goes back to 100 euros per month, but that's still way too much for most people. And I think it's really urgent to make sure that PrEP gets covered by the health insurance for those key populations, because it can play a vital role in bringing back new HIV infections.
Definitely. I 100% agree, because at this moment we see I'm HIV positive myself for years and years and years and years. 1991 I got diagnosed, so I live very long with it, so I know what the stress is, but also what the costs are. You know, like what medication costs and what it costs to be in an academic setting for years and years and years. And if you can prevent that only by giving this medication, which is on the market, it's really a savior as well for a lot of people. And this is why we need to have this political awareness and bring it really to a higher level in discussions as well, because it really saves lives and it saves money as well.
Will PrEP save the world? Is PrEP really the thing for the future?
I don't think there's one measure that can save the world or that can take care of all the new HIV infections.
And we have the computers that are going to take over with the machines, and we're going to be fucked anyway. But on this part, yeah.
So I think I think PrEP could be a very important instrument in trying to end AIDS and trying to end new HIV infections. The AIDS Funds had a research on this, and they say about 1/3 of HIV infections in the Netherlands could be prevented by PrEP. Well, that would be one of the biggest decreases we've seen in decades.
But what obstacles are there?
I think it's mainly political obstacles.
Yeah. Okay, so people are getting PrEP by themselves in other countries, and they need to be tested, their kidney functions need to be tested, and the municipality is providing that.
Yes.
What do you think is necessary to come to an HIV/AIDS-free world?
Yeah, I would say as a person living with HIV, my biggest problem is not having the virus itself, but the stigma around it and the way society deals with it. And I think there's a very important solution, because stigma is not just harmful for the people that are HIV positive. Stigma is also causing people not to go testing, not to talk about it with their vet partners, not to talk about their status once they get that, positive, and so further and so on. Sometimes stigma causes people not to take their medicine because they're struggling so much.
And how do we decrease stigma?
I think the most important role actually lays there for the community and also for people that are HIV positive itself, in the sense that we have to speak out and we have to tell our stories. Because much of the stigma is based on wrong ideas about HIV, wrong ideas about how it can be transmitted, wrong ideas about what exactly it is. And I think the most powerful stories are the stories of people living with HIV itself. To get them out in the media, to get them out in the mainstream public.
In 2018 is de Wereld AIDS-conferentie hier in Amsterdam dus.
Ja.
Wat wil jij bereiken met, ook namens de Amsterdam Youth Force?
Ik wil dat wetenschappers, beleidsmakers, politici die naar het evenement komen, dat ze spreken met jongeren. Voornamelijk jongeren die leven met HIV. Want de verhalen die wij horen van andere jongeren over de hele wereld, bijvoorbeeld in Brazilië, maar ook in India en Turkije, er horen gewoon verschrikkelijke verhalen over gewoon basisrechten. Dat je bijvoorbeeld niet eens naar je dokter kan gaan zonder dat zij je outen, of zonder dat je echt goede toegang hebt tot gezondheidszorg. Ja, dat zijn verschrikkelijke dingen. Dus wij willen voornamelijk mensen contact hebben, zodat ze kunnen luisteren naar verhalen van jongeren.
Stay safe? Are STIs on your mind?
Regular checkups, and I have a huge pack of condoms next to my bed. It's just decoration. No. But yeah, mainly mantelman.nl.
Mantelman.nl, and what kind of information is out there?
You have information about STIs and just to get to know what the STI is about. But then you also, you can get tested. You can get anonymously tested.
So how important is this testing? We were talking about it in the previous panel as well. Can you explain it a little bit more?
Well, I think testing is...
Isn't it enough when you just use a condom all the time?
A condom is a very important way to prevent STIs, but sadly most people, for example, don't use condoms for oral sex.
What?
Yeah, it's a big surprise. I don't know why they make the flavor condoms anyway, because nobody uses them, if you ask me. So, and you can get, for example, chlamydia, gonorrhea, and syphilis through oral sex. So, yes, I think regular testing, as Diego said, is a very important way to prevent spreading of STIs.
So Diego, you are not in one of the PrEP studies. So does that mean you're also not on PrEP?
I'm not.
Would your use of Grindr change if you were on PrEP?
I guess it would, yes. And actually, like, now listening to your question, I was a couple of months ago in Mexico and I was talking to a friend about PrEP. He actually had no idea about what PrEP was. So I kind of like gave him a brief about what PrEP was, and he was like, really? So you can literally get not infected? Like, yeah. I was like, oh my god, I would be just like giving it all over the place. So that was the attitude towards it. I think me personally, I would still use my condoms even if I would be on PrEP. Being realist.
Why?
Because it is not only HIV, but it's also STIs. So I don't have a differentiation between HIV, STIs. One is no. I just like I want to be protected for everything.
I think that dating apps can actually give an opportunity to discuss things before you meet someone. If you meet someone in a bar, the time limit to the bed might be shorter than when you're on an app. Well, I mean, not necessarily, but you have chances to discuss
Depends
things.
where you are.
Exactly. But you have chances to discuss things beforehand in a very non-personal way through messaging. I mean, you can send a dick pic or you can ask, shall we use a condom? And inside a club, that might be a harder thing to say than beforehand on an app.
Do you think that young people that you meet are well informed here in Amsterdam about PrEP, about you as you?
So there is a lot more information out there. People know about that there is a way of treating PrEP, but there is still a lot of fear and a lot of misunderstanding because we come too quickly to side effects when we might not even know what we're talking about. We come too quick to what if, I don't know, there is just too much fear and too much misunderstanding around it. So we have the information available. I think get people to actually go in the street and talk about it.
Woo! Spread the information.
Je hebt net zelf een test gedaan hier in de bus van die hip-testing. Van de
Ja, klopt.
Health Care Foundation. Hoe ging dat?
Nou ja, nu moet ik eerlijk zijn. Ik ben een held op sokken als het gaat om naalden.
Ja, ik ken het.
Dus er zat een geweldige vrouw in die heel erg aan het lachen. Dus ik kon gewoon wegkijken. Maar dat ging hartstikke goed. Het was heel makkelijk. Ik raad het ook iedereen aan om te doen. Laat je voornamelijk regelmatig testen. Dat is belangrijk om te weten wat je status is. Of niet alleen voor HIV, maar ook gewoon voor andere SOA's. Het is gewoon belangrijk om te weten waar je staat.
In a world made of steel, made of stone. When I hear the music, 'cause my eyes feel the rain, wrap around, take hold of my heart. What a feeling.
So can you tell us a little bit, what was life like when there was such fear?
The fear was enormous. I didn't know any people personally, so it was an anonymous fear. It would mean you could die simply by having sex. And
That was also the message, right? Have unsafe sex, die.
yes, there was a straightforward, pretty clean message. They almost have sex and die. I think even the message was, don't fuck. Simply don't. Not even with a condom, don't do it.
And what did that mean for you as a young gay man growing up?
I didn't fuck that much.
That's not something that you applaud. No. Alexander, for you?
Well, it also, I fucked. And most of the times I used a condom, so that was also, to be actually, to tell you that HIV was actually the first STI that I ever got, so it was jackpot for me the first time that I had an STI. So it was, for me, I grew up in an era where I know old campaigns from AIDS volunteers saying either have safe sex or have no sex. So there was this enormous morality being dropped as a bomb, on the community, which is once you're on the other side and you have become HIV positive, you only see then how damaging messages like that are, because it splits communities in two and it makes you into somebody that is has trespassed over a certain threshold and has become a norm violator. And that is something that is very, very damaging for communities, because at one time when you tell that I am HIV positive, so the next answer, well, then obviously you didn't perform safe sex. Obviously you broke the law, you broke the norm. I'm really glad that we got off of that sort of messaging, but it seeps through until this day and age, and that's what one of my mottos is, that keep morals out of prevention. It has nothing to do with morals. You need to try to support people and men and women to have as healthy a sex as they can perform and want to have. And that's what we're doing.
You are an intermittent user, meaning you don't take it daily, but you take it when you expect to have certain adventures. How's that working out for you?
Ooh, it's hard. It's not actually, it's not a wonder medication, because for me personally it had very heavy side effects, especially in the beginning. And when you do the intermittent fasting, you have to start with 2 tablets, and there's 2 tablets. It's not as severe, but still I feel it. I get a funny headache, I have funny dreams. And so it's not a pleasure thing to do. I really have to decide, am I really going to take these 2 tablets, or maybe I just cancel the date and
stay at home and watch some Netflix.
So basically, in those 2 years, I have,
which is also very safe.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, in the 2 years, I haven't used it much. No.
Yeah. So was it to you? It wasn't this miracle cure that you maybe hoped it would be.
No.
Miracle prevention.
No, absolutely not. But it made me think about HIV in a certain way.
Do you think that the arrival of PrEP is maybe bridging a little bit the gap between the positives and the negatives?
I definitely believe that's the case. I think what Job just told as a story is an example of that, because it makes people think, because it's a biomedical intervention, and when Job takes his pills, it's basically the similar pill that I take, and I take just 1 extra pill. You know. So we're both on the same medication.
The pills that you take to suppress?
To suppress the virus, to have this NSA. And I think messages like that, for us, why we believe in it, is that they're hugely destigmatizing. It alleviates fear of people with HIV, because, as Job just described, this fear has been with him for 25 years of actually getting the virus. And I've been living for 15 years now with the virus, and which is, totally okay, and it's very livable, and I have a good quality of life. So I'm no longer afraid of that. But not being afraid is very difficult to actually transmit or to pass on. Really, not fear, and that is very difficult. And I think PrEP as a medication is literally a bridge between the HIV negative community and the HIV positive.
Zoekt u nog hulp voor volgend jaar?
Ja, voor volgend jaar uiteraard. We willen zoveel mogelijk jongeren mobiliseren. Voor iedereen die bij ons betrokken wil zijn, stuur ons voornamelijk een e-mail als je wil. Ja. Als je denkt van, goh, ik heb niet zoveel tijd, like ons Facebook-page. Maar als dat dan misschien te veel is, ga gewoon het gesprek aan.
Gordon said this week, what is sort of the official response? Is the AIDS phones, have people spoken out about that? I mean, that's totally creating a stigma and like the worst message you can give.
Gordon is a Dutch singer, and he is doing a reality TV show where he's getting married, and he's looking for candidates, I think, and he said that people that have HIV need not apply. So, Alexander, do you know what the response was from the HIV Foundation?
From HIV Foundation, I know that the official response was that it is absolutely bollocks, and it's very stigmatizing, and that you should get educated and be brought up to speed about what it actually means to live with HIV, and that excluding a partner just because of the fact that he's HIV positive is as outdated and backwards.
And even more, this you is you. you get infected by people who don't even know that they're infected. So it's even absolutely untrue. It doesn't work, that strategy.
The test study is ending soon, and a lot of people that are part of the ONPEP study are kind of getting, okay, what am I going to do? And now they're getting nervous. Mark, what can people do that are getting out of ONPEP and are desperate?
Well, my first option, if you want to do it in the Netherlands, then for now this is the cheapest option available. The one you said for, I think it's $99.50 a month in certain pharmacies in the Netherlands.
Well, the short answer, there's just no solution for these people. Not in the sense, the only solution that at this moment is for them is to go and find PrEP themselves. And I think that's, something that I'm really worried about, because many people, they might have, changed their sexual behaviors, changed sexual patterns, and now will be at great risk once they don't have access to PrEP. And getting PrEP from an agency for free is something very different than trying to import PrEP from Thailand. And that, that throws up a lot of barriers. So that's, once again, why it's so urgent that there comes a systematic solution from our government.
The Gezondheidsraad, the Health Council, is supposed to come up with an advice that they've been working on for like 2 years, 3 years?
A year and a half.
A year and a half, and that's expected in February, March?
May.
And so they might make a recommendation that it might be more accessible on a national level.
I have good hopes that they will have a positive advice. It would be like a shame if the Netherlands, as a host country for the World AIDS Conference, wouldn't regulate access to PrEP, regardless to other countries in the world that have less financial leverage and actually have access to PrEP. So
we are a bloody embarrassment.
If I could leave somebody in the room with one message, it would be just please talk about it. Whether you are positive or not, talk about it, because that's a really big step in fighting towards the stigma and the fear that is around HIV and about PrEP and about just the hatred that is about the gay community.